Last week in Coeur d'Alene, Venerable Chuni and I went back and gave a talk on the perfection of patience, which Venerable Children likes to translate as fortitude. And in preparing for that talk last week, the amount of material on this is just vast, and there were just some mind-stopping pieces that I'd like to share with you. I'm going to share one today because it just really got me thinking very deeply, and when you hear this you'll probably think, well, I've known that since the beginning. Why is that so incredible to you? But I guess I didn't have the causes and conditions for it to be mind-stopping. So first of all, Lama Tsongkhapa translates patience as three things. So it's disregarding the harm done to us, accepting the suffering arising in our mind stream, and being certain about the teachings and firmly maintaining belief in them. So I'm going to talk about the one that has to do with disregarding harm to us. So this is not a new thing if you've been hearing any Buddhist teachings, and I don't know if this happens to you, but quite often if someone says something to me that I perceive as harmful, my yes but mind kicks in with why it is harmful and they're not very nice and blah blah blah, and the yes buts go on and on. But I'd like to read to you something that Lama Tsongkhapa writes about this, and I can't say it better than he can, so I'm just going to read it to you and then I'll talk a bit more about it. So he asks the questions: what would be reasonable grounds for anger towards harm doers? Whereupon we may think, well, first of all, they had the thought to harm me. That's reason enough alone in my mind. And then they figured out a way to deliver it. It's two reasons in my mind. It gets more and more powerful. And then they did it. So there you have it. They're the harm doer. They've done me wrong. So I can be angry. And then he goes on to ask this great question: are you angry because they inflicted harm while they had the self-control not to harm you? Or are you angry because they were utterly without self-control and hurt you while helplessly impelled by something else? Helplessly impelled. So in the former case, your anger is unjustified because those who inflict harm do not have control over themselves. So when I think about the states of anger that I've been in the past, it's true, I've been out of control, helpless. So this is really, really significant. And then he goes on to say, harm doers do not have even the slightest self-control. Moreover, they have become like servants of their afflictions because they're under their power. So in thinking about all of this, it just makes it so possible for compassion to come, helplessly impelled by our karma and by the surrounding circumstances and whatever's going on. We're just propelled into it. And this is true for Dharma practitioners, and this is not just true for the people who don't practice. We are still under the power of afflictions. So I'm going to compare this to something very worldly, which helps me get away from the yes but mind. Yes, but they hurt me. And just to give an example of how something can be just propelled and we're just standing there helpless. So about 4 months after I was ordained, I was still struggling with this garment a lot and trying to keep my shamdap from falling off. And one day I was in the furnace room chopping kindling. And so I thought I had it all together. It didn't occur to me for a moment to take off my zen and chop the kindling. So I'm in there with the hatchet, and I think I'm pretty good with the hatchet. I'm from Alberta, come on. And so I was chopping away. And it wasn't the first chop, it was several pieces into it. And then all of a sudden, my hand came down. Fortunately, my thumb wasn't there. And all of a sudden, on the chopping block was my axe through part of my zen. And it was like, oh! Like, oh! Now what? So I saw the axe through the zen, and then I got the axe out, and there's the zen with it's like a Zorro mark on it. And I thought, great. Well, have I wrecked a precept? What am I going to do? I'm going to tell Venerable Children. I think she's away. I don't know what to do. And fortunately, Nancy Burroughs, our good friend, still lived in Spokane. So before Venerable Children got home, this is not my biggest concern, of course, she fixed the zen. But when I think of that incident, I wasn't intending to chop my zen. And there it was, it was on the chopping block. And then what to do? I had to get it fixed. And so if I keep this example in my mind, you know, I'm going to be propelled into something until what? Is it the 8th level of bodhisattvas, where we're 10th? Anyway, it's a long way down the road. I'm going to be propelled into things, and sure, we're going to get more adept at noticing when these things are arising, but we're still going to end up with the Zen on the chopping block with the axe through it. And so then, you know, let's fix it. And in the same thing, you know, if I get angry, let me fix it. And when someone gets angry at me, propelled by their afflictions, you know, I can accept that now with this bit of information. It's not fun to accept it, but it's possible. So, thank you.